Welcome everyone to the 5th annual Amuse Arts Fair. We are making history this year with our first Amuse at Home virtual market. We are glad that you can join us. Thank you for allowing us to come into your homes. My name is Tamara Marie. Sit back and relax, grab some coffee and some tea while I introduce our next guest. I introduce to you the one and only Laura Johnston. Hey, hi Laura, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing? I'm so excited to
Good.
start this.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're able to do this interview with us.
Yeah, me too. It's great. I mean, gosh, who would have thought 6 months ago this is how we would have been doing the art fair? But I'm so excited because it actually makes it feel like connected to whoever's participating and visiting and a little bit more real than not being able to see everybody in person. But yeah, I'm great and excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that we decided to move forward with it because we had it, then it was canceled, and it was like moved the date, and then it was like, oh, we should just do it online. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad that, and I think it allows us to capture a different audience, which is awesome.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, there's a lot of ways that I've never participated either as a visitor or a consumer in an art fair online, but I've also never done it as an artisan. And I'm really excited because it's a whole new way of thinking about things. And even for people like me, a challenge for how to make it fun and interesting for folks to see on a website or to see on social media. So it's really exciting. I'm curious to see what people think but your team has already done such a cool job of making it feel like we're all connected and
Oh, thank you.
yeah, opportunities like this are really neat to feel like we can reach out and kind of do the fun stuff that I love about talking to people at an art fair and getting to know people by name and getting to see everybody's faces and feel that energy. So this feels a little bit like that.
Oh, awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about your company and what is it that you do?
Sure. So my name's Laura Johnston, and my company's name is Hey Girl Hikes. And that came from two experiences I had a few years ago. The first was when I through hiked the Appalachian Trail, which is the oldest and longest national scenic trail that goes from Georgia to Maine. It's
Oh,
2,200 miles. And then I also hiked another trail that is out west called the Pacific Crest Trail. A lot of people know it for the movie that was made about Cheryl Strayed and starring Reese Witherspoon. And that trail goes from Mexico to Canada.
oh
But
wow.
um, from that, when I was on those trails, they were a lifelong dream of mine, and I've always loved being outdoors. I love nature, and the first 10 years of my career were in conservation, and so that is my number one thing. Like I love being outside. I love playing outside. So to be able to hike those trails for 6 months and 5 months and to see just some of the most gorgeous, iconic places in the country, then I came home after both and I thought, I can't just keep all these photos for myself. I want to make sure that I share them
Hmm.
with all sorts of people. So the way I came up with the idea for my company, which is Hey Girl Hikes, it's greeting cards from all of the wonderful, gorgeous places I've seen across the country on the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, that's amazing. You want to show some of the viewers some of your work?
Absolutely. So I'll I have a few of these here. So I've
Mhm.
got photos from all sorts of landscapes. So a lot of people that are coming to join Amuse may be more familiar with the Appalachian Trail because so many points of it are close to us.
Mhm.
Um, and this is one image, but it goes again all the way from northern Georgia to central Maine. So I have a variety of landscapes. This one in particular is from um, Vermont.
Okay.
Let's see, I've got a couple other great ones here. This
Wow.
one is from Southern Virginia.
Okay.
So I've got all sorts of stuff, everything from mountainscapes to ferns to, um, let's see, this beautiful one is from Massachusetts. It is called Upper Goose Pond.
Okay.
This is a example from the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, that's
That's the John Muir Trail section of the Pacific Crest Trail. And so all this was areas that I saw and hiked through, but just gorgeous glaciers and snow fields. So all sorts of stuff.
So all of these locations basically influence your work.
Absolutely. Yeah. What ended up happening was, um, as somebody with a conservation background, I had worked for conservation nonprofits and was always, as opposed to just hiking, I'm always interested in what I'm seeing and what it's teaching me. You know, what are the trees? What is the history of the mountains? But then also, what is the history of the importance of these trails to us as people that live close to them, that can go out and hike them, and not just for 6 months at a time, because I go to the Appalachian Trail almost 3 or 4 times a month. Places out like Harper's Ferry
Oh,
or McPhee Knob, all sorts of places that are just a day's drive for me. But I'm really interested also in how getting outside, but even seeing a beautiful place might inspire you to feel calmer, to feel more centered, to feel inspired. Maybe, and you don't have to be, any sort of super duper hiker. When I started those trails, and even now, a big portion of what I do is try to encourage people, hey, just get outside for that local walk in your neighborhood. Get outside to that one green space near you, because it can really change your life. And one of the things that I love about these cards is, I think when I first started them, it was just a passion project of mine for fun. And my mom taught me from the time I was a young kid, always write cards, always say thank you, always say hello. And,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was a little bit more of a chore when I was a little kid, but it definitely stuck with me. And that's still to this day one of the things I most love to do, to make somebody know that I'm thinking about them, is I always write cards and I always write letters. And so then with these cards, I thought, you know what, like, what better way to make a person feel loved, to feel inspired, to feel just excited to receive a piece of mail with something that could also inspire them to get outside. So I think they can also teach us by knowing that they are two of the most important and oldest hiking trails in the country, much of which inspired a lot of subsequent trails that you see all around your neighborhoods. It's also a piece of history in saying, hey, that first long trail that was started called the Appalachian Trail, that really helps to make sure that there are trails that you can hike in your local neighborhood. So that's kind of my goal with these, is to just inspire people. Now more than ever, we are not getting to see the people we like and love as much as possible. And I think cards are one of those ways you can really brighten somebody's day. Or even, gosh, so many of us are going through big unexpected changes. People are going through hard times. And um, a card is like the easiest and simplest and one of the cheapest ways to just say, hey, you're on
Hmm.
my mind, or I miss you. I wish we could be together. I wish we could talk. And or hey, when we can, let's go for a hike outside together.
Right.
So that's really my goal with these, is just to also continue to inspire people to stay connected to people that they know and love. And so basically, to finish the story, I started making these, and then I was sending them to all my friends, just to say, hey, I miss you, hey, how's it going? Or even a lot of my friends I met while hiking. And then I showed them to some friends, and I thought, hey, would you ever buy something like this? Is this something that would be of interest? And they all said, like, yeah, I love these. And people started asking me to buy them. And then I have to credit her again. The person who really said, like, try your first craft fair was my mom, the lady who first inspired me to write cards. And she was one of the ones that really supported me while I did those hikes. And so that started about a year ago, and I've done different craft fairs and sold them at a yoga studio and sold them online. And so now they're really just a continued passion project. And uh, one thing I really care a lot about too is supporting the organizations that manage the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, that basically allow people to go out any time of the year. Because what a lot of people don't know is much of the maintenance and much of the upkeep of those trails, it's totally volunteer. So there's two nonprofits that kind of do the liaising between the Park Service, the Forest Service, and all the volunteers. And so what I do is, with these cards, a portion of the proceeds of each of them goes back to those trail organizations, because I really feel strongly that it's important to support them. So over time, more and more people can get out to these places and get the chance to see them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the stories.
Oh,
Yeah, about your mom and, what inspires you. And especially because of COVID and a time like this, everybody's been cooped up indoors. The weather is about to change, it's about to get cold. But I
mhm,
realized that more people are, because you couldn't eat indoors, people were going outdoors
mhm.
and, finding those old things that are ancient, which is a picnic table, right? And they're dusting them off, they're sitting down with families. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And so something like COVID in some ways have been a blessing because it's bringing people together. And people like me, going outdoors more, walking the parks, tossing some bread to the birds, and just enjoying nature and the outdoors. So yeah, that's awesome. And I think more people are right along with you. Like they're just ready for an adventure. They're ready to go outside. They're ready to try new things. So in terms of your hiking, do you take people on hiking trails?
Yeah, I do all the time. I mean, that is another one of those things after I got the lucky opportunity to go for so long, even though I used to hike on the weekends on my
Mhm.
own or with friends just for short trips. One of the things I realized is, you know what, it's all about passing it on and paying it forward. And really, before I did these hikes, I was just your average day hiker. I didn't grow up in a family where my parents took me backpacking or took me camping. They gave me a lot of other wonderful opportunities, but we weren't like the family that always drove out and had the tents. So I just kind of learned that along the way in my 20s, and then from friends that I met and colleagues I had, and just kind of taking it upon myself to seek it out. And but yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of these activities that sometimes people, if they've never done it, or they've never seen anybody that looks like them, they think, oh, that's not for me, or like you got to look cool, or you got to have the coolest gear. And I think since then, I really feel like whether it's just bringing people out that are friends, but I've also done things like I've um, been a counselor at camp for kids, that to take them hiking and to take them outdoors. And for a lot of kids that are from backgrounds and would have more difficulty getting to them, I take, just this past weekend, I met a friend and helped her co-lead a hiking trip of people in New York. So I like to do it both, I guess, formally and informally. But yeah, if and I even actually, a great thing is I try to get my mom more into hiking. She loves to walk, but
Mhm.
as somebody who's been such a big part of my life, and I think who also sometimes felt like, oh, I'm not a hiker.
Yeah.
Um, we just started doing little hikes around here, and that could just mean, taking your walk from the street into the local woods, or taking it off of the sidewalk onto just a basic trail that's in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love to do all that, and I think it's really one of those activities, if people don't know or they're not sure or they still find it intimidating, what I would say is that hiking and the hiking community, what I found, is one of the coolest, most accepting communities of outdoor activities there are. There's not a lot of ego, and there's not a lot of
Mhm.
yeah, one of the coolest things is once you're out there, everybody's wearing a t-shirt and shorts. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what you do, nobody knows what zip code you live in, nobody knows how important you are in the world or what the hierarchy. You're just you. You're just like the same smelly person out there like anybody else.
Everybody's free. Yeah, when I first came down here, they were like, "Do you hike?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Well, do you want to?" I'm a city girl, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I'm like, "I don't know, but I always will try something once." And so I'm like, "Well, let's go." And they're like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Well, to your point, I'm like, what do I wear?" And I'm like, "Do I need hiking boots? Do I need?" And they'll no, just tennis shoes. But I was like, "Well, I have hiking boots. I'll at least do that." And we went to, I don't even remember the name of it. We went to one that had waterfalls. We went up a mountain, it had waterfalls, it was beautiful. And then somebody's tennis shoes got wet and the girl slid off the mountain. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna die. She didn't. A rock caught her fall, but it was just like, okay, yeah. So certain places you go, you may need a little bit more. Or maybe she's just clumsy and she should not come on this particular trail anymore. but it didn't stop me from going. Like I would still go, and because there's tons of walking trails around here. There's tons of little, little hiking, little nooks and stuff like that all around Winchester and outside in West Virginia and Virginia. And it's amazing. And so my family hasn't done any with me. They probably won't. They don't do dirt. They don't do it. So I'm like, you got to do it. And so I have to trick them into trying new things, but they'll freak out and then they're like, oh, it's not that bad. Not that bad. So they're like,
Yeah.
"Well,
I think that's one of those things, right? Like sometimes people think that, but you can hike and not get dirty. You can hike and not get sweaty. It's all possible. And it's kind of, there's this saying that I learned on
water."
the Appalachian Trail where it's hike your own hike, right? Like who cares? The trip I was on this weekend helping one of my friends to guide this girl, I was hanging in the back of a group of people and she said, hey, I don't, like I don't want to slow you down. Go ahead, go ahead. And I was like, no way. Like it's all about just enjoying the view and I'm not in any rush. But I think that's one of the things I've learned too through these hikes is there's just there's so much to learn about yourself and kind of have as a metaphor for your life that you can learn out there. It's a lot of times, like you said, you think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this, or I don't know if I'm going to be good at this, or will my shoes be good? But I like to always, when I come back from either a day hike or certainly when I accomplished these two hikes where the Appalachian Trail was nearly 2,200 miles and the Pacific Crest Trail was 2,600 miles, you come home and you think, you know what, that is a lesson for me in life. Like it's just one foot in front of the other. It's just enjoy each day. It's find the good things even when it's raining outside, like don't take yourself too seriously and just those little things day after day. And you kind of, I think that's one thing I really like about these cards too, is every time I look at the images, they remind me to just slow down and breathe and like take a look and see, oh my gosh, look at that mountain. There's so much snow on it. Look at what that means. It's the middle of July, or look at the Smoky Mountains in August and the many colors you see. It's really taught me hiking, but also making these cards and looking at the images teaches me to just kind of meditate a little bit more on life and not get so caught up in the rat race and think, you know what, whenever I feel anxious or whenever I feel like there's too much, just get out into nature. Because and another thing from this is like make art from what you see in nature. You can go out and you can learn a new species of tree. You could learn that there's not just maple trees. You could learn that there's sugar maples and crimson maples and poplar maples. Or you could go out and you could see the season change from one day to the next. You see a flower start as a bud, and then if you go back next week, it's bloomed. So all of those things for me have become, I think, a greater love of why I think it's important to get outside. And to your point, when COVID started, oh gosh, like for everybody, it's having to rethink what is life going to look like? Can I do the things I love? Can I see the people I love? But like you said, the outdoors it's not closed, it's open. And I think one of the greatest things to happen is you read stories and see people every day doing more things outside than maybe 6 months ago they thought they had time for, or they're getting stir crazy, and so people are going outside more than they did. And that is a place, if we still stay socially distant and we still wear a mask, which is what I do when I still hike now, it's still there, and it's going to just fill you up and make you feel better. And even if you're kind of hating it when you're doing it, when you get home, you'll be like, yeah, I rocked it. I walked that hike. I got to the top of that mountain. It always feels good when you've done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So for the Amuse, is there any tell us your website?
Okay, my website is Hey Girl Hikes, so HEYGIR hikes.com. And that is a nod to when you do these long hikes, a lot of times you get what's called a trail name or a nickname. On all my friends used to tease me for, I always say, hey girl, what's up? Hey girl, how's it going? That's my call sign, I guess. And my friends on the trail gave me that name, so it just stuck. So heygirlhikes.com. and I have them on my website, and I'm actually working as we speak to try to get them to be directly accessible for you on Instagram. So
Okay.
either of those two places.
Okay, awesome. Now, is there anything, any promotionals, anything that they need to look out for?
Yes. So like at a basic level, I'm selling the cards for $5 a piece,
Mhm.
or $10 for 5 cards, or $30 for 10 cards. And I
Okay.
can give you an Appalachian Trail pack, a Pacific Crest Trail pack. I can curate them exactly as you like, or I can, if you say, hey, I'm in Virginia, I only want Virginia cards, I'll select you cards from that state. Or if you say, I only want snow, I can do that. But I'm giving everybody on Amuse 10% off of all purchases. And yeah, if you have something on special, or you want to sell me give me a pitch because those prices are too high, just give me a shout or send me a message, because I want to make sure that anybody who wants to write a card to somebody and feel inspired by a beautiful image that we have here, then yeah, I'm happy to talk.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. I really enjoyed this interview.
Thank you. Me too. I loved it. It's been so fun, and so fun to put your face with this. And yeah, I'm just so pumped to participate, and so amazed at everything that the Amuse team has done to make this happen. And I've been checking out all the other artisans' websites and Instagrams, and I feel really lucky to be a part of this crew.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is awesome. I'm glad that you can be a part of it as well.
Me too. Me too.
Well, we look forward to talking to you soon, and I hope you enjoy some trails this weekend.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, get outside. If you're going nuts, go outside for a walk, or even a walk around the block. And I hope you feel better.
Thank you. All
Thank
right, have
you.
a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Everyone, that was awesome. Be sure to shop our virtual market of local and regional crafts and goods arts fair. It runs through October 24th from 9 a.m. till midnight. Check us out at amuseartsfair.com. We will have demos, more interviews with vendors, contests, and specials throughout the week via Instagram. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Amuse Arts and on Facebook to get sneak peeks of our vendors and see more videos and enter contests. Thank you. We appreciate you. Happy shopping.